I think our picture should be improved by now.
Yes.
Folks, this is the fun half of the program.
Wait,
And
why do they
for
dress
those of
the
you
same?
who may be
Hey,
watching this show for the first time, generally what we do is we do a show from 12 to 1 every day.
Eastern.
That is the free half of the show. And we feature often a long-form interview. Sometimes Em and I will run through the news. Very rarely, when we go on vacation, we will pre-tape. Let me read this IM to enter into some explanations for you, because I think some explanations are due you, the audience. This is an IM that we got almost at the beginning of the show. And it's from a guy named Chowder with Crowder, which is fortuitous.
Did he say I am?
Stream resolution kind of fucked up, Sam. You're being squished horizontally, but only the camera feed logo appears normal. And that is correct. That was a correct assessment of what was going on. And the question was,
I'm a boomer chat.
why?
Well, it was to make you look skinnier. And me, incidentally.
That is one of the answers. The other answer, I should also say, has to do with...
Hit me up on
you will
AIM,
look
yeah,
at
American
my,
Online. Instant
Zoom
messenger?
feed today, and you will notice that my name, you got Emma Vigeland there in the right hand corner of your the left hand corner of your frame. But for me today, I don't have Sam Cedar. I have a smiley face. All of these things have to do with each other. Everything, in fact, that we have talked about since the beginning of the show, including the IM, has to do with each other. Let's go back a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe it was 4 weeks ago, I can't remember. I got an IM, I got tweeted at, Sam, you got name checked on H3. And I was like, H3? I think that's it's a big YouTube show, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so I went to check it out, and it is hosted by this guy Ethan Klein, who I may know some people who know him in the comedy world. He's out in LA, but and you look familiar to me. But that's probably because he looks like family members or whatever. And I was like, what's this about? And it turns out they were talking about Steven Crowder. And Steven Crowder and Ethan were having some type of back and forth. And I didn't know the details of it at the time, but their producer, Dan, at the end of the segment, turns to the camera and says, this is the only time I'm going to have to address Crowder, because I know he's going to watch this. And I remember thinking well, yeah, this is a big channel, I guess. But I mean, is Crowder really that thin-skinned that he's going to tune in to every time his name is mentioned on a show? I mean, anyways, Dan looks at the camera and says, hey, debate Sam Cedar. And he goes on about telling the story about the Politicon. Folks can go back and look for the video that we did when I played the audio of the Politicon booker calling me and telling me the Crowder had dropped out. And
cold feet, in fact.
He said that was her words, yeah, that he got cold feet because his team pulled him out, and his team is his dad, apparently. And I'd also been invited on the Gavin McInnes show. I didn't want to go on there, but they offered up, we got Crowder to debate, and then Gavin wrote me back and said, no, Crowder doesn't want to debate you, whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so that's why Dan had said this. And I thought, oh, that's great. We played the clip of it. That was really nice to get that shout out.
Big podcast, big show.
Big show, big podcast. And then I get a DM from Ethan, a week later or something like that. And he says, hey, Steven Crowder wants to debate me. And he's like, I don't do a political show. He's like, I think you should come on and debate him.
Ambush his ass.
On with him. And I was like, I would love to do that. Thank you. And so last week, you'll recall, last Monday, they were scheduled to have a debate at p.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m., I think it was Pacific. And so you'll recall last week we started the show early. And here's where I need to make an apology to the audience. I implied that the reason why we were doing that was because I was recording the Bob's Burgers movie.
I would not say you implied it. In fact, you tweeted about it later. So.
Well, if you look at that
was a white
tweet,
lie.
if you look at that tweet, Emma, I did not say,
Oh, the lawyering. Jesus.
well, if you look at the tweet, bring it up. Can we bring this up, Brendan? Can you find it? On that tweet, I did not say I ended the show early because I am recording Hugo for Bob's Burgers for the movie. Instead, I tweeted, and Brendan, do you have this? Okay. It is, I tweeted, let me see if I can pull it up here on my own. I tweeted instead, sorry about the show being early, ending the show early today. However, the good news is I can tell you that I recorded that Hugo's on Bob's Burgers. Now, all of that is true. Yeah, here it is. Apologies for the early start today for Majority.fm. ... Second thought, happens to be unrelated,
Yeah.
but was in the same tweet. I can, however, happily report that Hugo will make a cameo in the Bob's Burgers movie. Now, the fact is that no, I had recorded that a couple days earlier.
What?
But why, Sam, would you tweet that? Well, we started the show early. We ended at 12:30 p.m., which was 30 minutes before the debate that
11
Crowder,
to 12:30.
Yeah,
if you guys remember.
that Crowder had planned with Ethan Klein on H3. And so we connect with H3 through Zoom, and like immediately after we're done with the show, and then 4 or 5 minutes later, they go, oh, we just got an email from Crowder's dad.
How would they know, though?
Stephen had an emergency with his wife who's pregnant. And this is actually sort of disturbing.
We were concerned.
We were concerned. And
How did they know, though?
I'm being serious about that, actually. And he can't do it. However, we will reschedule for next Monday at noon. And Ethan says they knew that you were getting off your show early, and they're afraid that you're going to be debating him. And I got to say that I was like,
Come on, Ethan.
I don't think I said that to him because I was like, I didn't want to be, rude, but I was like, I'm not sure about that. Like, would he really pretend that his wife, who's pregnant with 2 kids, is in jeopardy? And would he really be monitoring when our show is off the air? That's absurd. That's absurd that he would do that. I mean, how afraid would he have to be? How paranoid would he have to be that he's engaged with a debate with somebody else? I'm just trying to put my mind in the same mind frame. Like, I've got a debate scheduled with Tim Pool, and I'm like, I'm going to monitor the show of Dave Rubin to see that he hasn't changed his live show, because what if Dave Rubin comes on when I thought I was going to debate Tim Pool?
I mean, that would probably be like the equivalent of Christmas for you.
That would be, yeah.
Well, or Hanukkah.
It would actually, I think it's actually, there's no
equivalent.
There is no equivalent. It would be
a birth of another child.
But I'm trying to put my head into that mind. Like, how afraid would I have to be that paranoid about it? And so I found it really hard to believe. But it was weird that, hey, we have an emergency. I mean, this is the grandfather of those kids.
Okay, I just realized the snacking, the Twitch Bits reward, the Hindsight 2020 emotes, is just some random emote, some caricature, and I really thought that it was like a leftist's emote of Rudy Giuliani, and it's not. Oh wait, I was like, wait, which channel has this Giuliani emote? Oh, never mind. It looks like Giuliani eating golden Trump nugget turds. It could still be Rudy if you want. It is now.
If I was that guy, I would be like, look, we have an emergency, can't get back to you. I wouldn't give the details.
Or just popcorn. Yeah, it's popcorn.
And I'm like, it's an emergency. and I'll get back to you later in the week to reschedule. But no, they rescheduled it for 12 p.m. on Monday Eastern, which is exactly when we go live.
That's so weird.
But I told this to other friends, friends who are not in this world, and they're like, dude, do you think that he's really that afraid of just like debating you? Like, it's not in person. It's not like you're some type of assassin. I said, even if I was, he carries a gun. He has a holster that he wears all the time with a gun.
It's his costume.
Yeah, I mean, his costume is ready to defend himself too.
Normalizing it.
But I was like, but Ethan thought
Was that your
and
stomach?
he's
No.
a pretty savvy guy when it comes to like YouTube stuff and these guys.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's pre-tape the show. And I pre-taped the interview last week with Stephen Wertheim. Great interview.
Yeah. That's why I had to step out.
Yeah. Well, if people watched the show today, they noticed also that we were stretched. And that is because we're back in the studio and we haven't quite set up our system to do the show and to output it. And so we were just like, oh, fuck it, let's just run it. And so we pre-recorded the intro and the outro to make it for today at like 10:30.
You coordinated your shirts very effectively.
And Emma kept reminding me, and that's why I was like surprised.
I was
when
like,
Emma
make
showed
sure
up.
you wear the same shirt each time.
Yes. And then Matt was furiously trying to stitch it together so that we could turn it around in time. And we connected with Ethan's show, H3, via Zoom. And that's why I have in my logo in the left.
You're right.
Right there
there.
is a smiley face because I wasn't sure how we were doing this. And I know that when we're bringing somebody onto our Zoom, you see their name first and their audio is connecting. And I'm like, just in case, Crowder. And let's go around the room right now. Brendan, I want you to participate in this.
They really thought this through.
Well, wait a second. Let me just pull it up. And so we connect with Ethan and he says, look, guys, Dan, our brilliant technology guy, has figured out like it's going to be Crowder's Zoom. So you're not going to come on to the Zoom. We're going to be able to just feed you in to the Zoom. And so we're sitting here. I think I shot like a video during it. We're just waiting and watching the IMs with the ratio is messed up. And I'm like, yeah, people are going to be.
I can't wait to see the videos I took, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And so we're waiting for this, and I can see what's going on there, and then at one point they show Crowder's empty seat in his studio, and he's not coming on until 2 minutes after we launch our show, and we did it like a minute or two early, right? Yeah, we launched it around 11:58, just so that we could do this. And
yeah, the show actually started right on time today, which Crowder's people should have noticed something was up when that happened.
Well, I mean, that presumes that they were actually monitoring our show.
It does presume that.
It does presume that. We're going to end the story here, ladies and gentlemen. So I can tell you that I want, like, people can IM in what they think would happen. In fact, we should probably put up a poll. Poll. What did Crowder do and Ethan, like, I gotta say, Ethan is he's a genius at this. I mean, he just and I'm curious. Let's just go around the studio right now and guess what happened. And I will say this: no one here guessed what Crowder would or did not do that really was the icing on the cake.
Yes.
Right? Now, I don't want to give away anything. That's it.
Yeah.
Because Ethan is going to play this for his subscribers, I think, tonight as part of his show. I think they get early release. And then I think people can see it tomorrow after this show. I think it plays.
I don't even think Sam is the
And we'll,
best
of course,
debater.
cover it
Hilarious
once.
Crowder's.
And then
So the thing about Sam Cedar is that, yes, he is not the best storyteller. He might not be the best debater, but he is intellectually honest, and he tends to back his political or opponents when engaging in a debate into a corner that they can't get out of. He's not an idiot, yeah. And he knows how to score political points on pretty much anyone who is not well versed on the topic of conversation. They tend to argue on behalf of, you know what I mean? So you hear a lot of libertarians call in about why they are in favor of privatizing roads, and somebody who's calling in as a libertarian and their position is why we should privatize roads, they usually end the call losing the debate, assuming that if they are proponents of a certain topic of conversation, they would be a little bit more well-versed. Well, Sam Cedar has a great gift in turning these arguments on their head, even though it's not that difficult when you're talking about debating with libertarians necessarily. But I would say the mechanical skills that Sam Cedar has when engaging in topics of conversation or a debate would be what Crowder is most fearful of. Because, let's be honest, no right-winger on the internet is debating in good faith. They are intellectually dishonest. They do not have a good foundational grasp of their own ideological positions, the policies that they propose. Somebody like Sam Cedar would be a very scary prospect to debate in debating if you are one of these right-wing grifters. Sam doesn't have a massive ego plus ad hominem attackers. Sam is just well-read and has skin in the game. Yeah.
once, if anything happened or not, we will.
I mean, there's a chance that what happened was Crowder calmly dispatched you in an intellectual debate.
Well, let's go through the different scenarios. I mean, there's really only three scenarios. One is
He hung up immediately.
he hung up immediately.
Do you do this to us? Aspect ratio change, wardrobe, etc.? No. What? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
The other is we engaged in a debate. He won, I won, it was a draw. One is that as soon as it happened, I had a heart attack. Obviously, I didn't because I wouldn't have recovered this quickly. But maybe he had a heart attack. No one had a heart attack. It's really only those two things.
That's the only third option.
Why
Well, there's a
Mutual
third
heart
option
attack?
is that there was just like, you know,
A lot of acrimony.
a lot of acrimony and finger pointing and hurt feelings.
You missed the conspiracy. Do you much tomatoes?
From one end.
From any end, it could have happened. And we're all talking hypothetically now.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that if there was any type of situation, I went in unarmed. I am trying to normalize not wearing a holster on your YouTube show with a gun. Try to normalize that for YouTube hosts. But I do want to. All right, so let's just predictions go around. Emma, what was your guess as to what would happen?
My guess was
Try and put yourself in there. Don't cheat.
Well, I was worried going in because he'd already gotten cold feet so many times, right? Hashtag cold feet Crowder. I was concerned that he would back out again and we would have had to come in.
Before the debate even happened with Ethan.
Yeah, I was worried that he would see maybe that there were some differences in the show since he's clearly monitoring the show. And
He's not clearly we haven't established that yet.
oh, well, yeah, right. I'm sorry about that. I thought that at the time going into the debate that it seemed like he was monitoring, or whatever happened, the potential debate. It seemed like he might have been monitoring.
Okay, this is kind of